How do I do it all? The Brezza gives me the power.
Job done. Although when we are speaking right now, literally it's 1 run away, but these are the longest 2 runs in the history of the IPL. What matters more is that Mumbai Indians would have picked up 2 crucial points, and the Sunrisers can't carry on that high and that momentum after beating the Punjab Kings at home with such a remarkable chase. It's a game that was pretty one-sided in the end, which I'm feeling very bad about because the last few days we had so many close games. On Maruti Suzuki Arena presents ESPN Cricket for timeout. Bang on! Was not Sanjay Bangar, but Cheteshwar Pujara and Abhinav Mukund because they predicted 17th, 18th over finish.
They're waiting till the 18th over to finish it.
Yeah. It's not finishing even now because there are a few formalities taking out. But in the end, it almost proved to be a formality of a chase. Why was that so easy? Sanjay?
I think due factor was massive.
Oh, it came.
And you could clearly see that once the fielders started diving around and the length of slide that they were getting, it was very obvious that it had set in. And the very fact that they wanted to use spin, take into account the kind of grip that was on offer in the first innings, but eventually managed to only use 1 over of Rahul Chahar, who was their impact sub. So I don't think the toss really went SRH's way, and toss in fact was a massive factor.
Yeah, that's a shame because we don't want that to be the conversation. But do you sense unusually for the Wankhede, it was so lopsided? Even batting first, normally at the Wankhede, you'll still find some value for your shots. Today was the toss the deciding factor?
I don't think it was the toss which was the deciding factor.
Oh, okay.
I felt that SRH didn't have good spinners. Even if they had bowled first, I felt MI would have got 170, 180 and they would have defended it. So I felt it's the SRH bowling lineup where they don't have good spinners, and their bowling lineup in general, they haven't been bowling well. And 160 wasn't good enough on that pitch. They should have, even when they were batting first, I thought the pitch was such where they could have easily got 175, 180 on that pitch, and then it could have been a different ball game.
That's interesting because their strength is their batting, that we know. So they should they just have batted better? Is that where the game's been decided today?
Yeah, and that's where you tend to ask the question about all this attacking intent and every single time that they play on a not so flat surface.
Right.
Every single time they've come up second best against the opposition's batting lineup. Beat their home's conditions where they thought 190 was less, they thought 160 was less. A couple of times they've been shot out for 160. So I think it's, like I said before, it's either one way or nothing for them. It's either the highway or speed breakers throughout. They're just not able to stitch partnerships together. They're not able to get that power in those middle overs, something that they were getting last year. And I still maintain last year's SRH bowling lineup was way more rounded than this one, where you had to sub out your primary bowler. I don't know whether if it was for any injury concerns.
Yeah, Shami.
But if you're going to sub out your primary frontline bowler that you went first in the auction to bring in a Rahul Chahar, you're really
when he had 1 over.
Thought process.
Yeah, I mean, you never even thought at that stage that, okay, I might need an over of him in the end because you just know that you're not going to give him an over at the end, given what Shami's record at the end is. Strange team to analyze, Sunrisers Hyderabad. They're supposed to be dangerous, and they are dangerous. But now they're in danger territory. They're, I think, close to bottom of the points table, if not once the table is updated.
Yeah, it is, and it has been the case because even in the playoffs last season, you saw that they were found wanting with this kind of an approach. And I mean, if you are not really willing to change the approach, or at least you have 1 or 2 players, I'm not saying the entire team, but 1 or 2 players who should play a little bit differently rather than just play one way from number 1 to number 6.
What should be the honest review from their batting? Let's say they will get these surfaces. Let's even assume that this was the opposition that Mumbai didn't mind to play on a slightly different or slower Wankhede surface. I doubt we'll see this surface for CSK in 2 days' time. We'll come to that in a second. But surely they'd be thinking now, Dan Vittori and Pat Cummins with their batters, that now we can't keep dropping points just because we bat first on slow pitches. Puji's making the point they should be batting better. But let's go deeper into that. What does that actually mean for this team?
I would say maybe because so far they've just played with 1 batting order. That is Head, Abhishek, Ishan, Nitish, Klassen and
Aniket, Abhinav, whatever.
So I would say split up the left-handers because you're giving the opposition, like Will Jacks was able to bowl 3 overs after power play because there were 2 left-handers out there. You should try and mix up things a little bit. And also, if Nitish is not able to do a role this season at number 4, maybe get Aniket at top and have Nitish batting at 6. So I would change the batting order a little bit by batting Ishan Kishan at 4, get a right-hander at 3, and maybe swap the right-hander from number 3 and number 6.
Sorry.
You go ahead. You go ahead.
Sorry, Puj.
Yeah.
I'd be tempted to bring in even someone like an Atharva Thaide who can add a little bit of stability at the top of the order. He's played for Punjab, is another opener.
But again a left-hander, Abhi.
I'm just thinking, who do they bring in to actually give that base in that middle order? I don't see any of these batters willing to show application. And honestly, I'm as disappointed as Sanjay Bhai about Ishan Kishan. Guy's going to play close to 200 T20. He's not a young man anymore. He needs to show a lot more, like at least the bankable nature of his contemporaries, like Shubman Gill or even a Ruturaj Gaikwad, guy who's batting at the top for years now. Can't have 100 and then just drop off and have the season that he's having. I think SRH expected a lot more. So I would look outside this 6 or 7 to try and find a little bit of stability for one more batter.
Whom would you drop? Because that's the question.
I'm saying play one more batter. One more batter is something.
And a bowler shot, you're saying.
And a bowler shot.
Puji, you were going to say something.
I was thinking that they need to plan things better with the same batting lineup. I think there's enough talent in this batting lineup. Just the approach is something which I've already criticized earlier, but I don't want to say too much about that. But I feel that the power play, they are starting off well. When they are not starting off well, they are losing too many wickets. Today they started off well, and then they didn't have the right approach in the middle overs. They struggled in the middle overs because they didn't lose a wicket in first 6. Between the 6th and the 15th over, they didn't have a proper game plan of how to play well on such pitches. Because if they end up playing on a pitch where the pitch is on the slower side, you need to find ways to get a boundary.
Yeah.
They didn't get a boundary. I think
A 6 came only in the 18th
only
over.
in the end.
That's their breakup. They've got 11 overs where they've got 69 for 2 in the middle. When they were 46 without loss in the power play.
Yeah.
That's been the decisive period of this game. And you're saying it wasn't that hard.
It wasn't. I still feel if they had got somewhere close to 85 runs in those 11 overs, then the total would have been different. And if also the strategy wasn't right, I felt that either they were trying to go too hard, or they felt that the pitch was on the slower side, so they had to be a little cautious and they just had to bat through those overs. And they went hard little later. So I felt you need to plan things where first 6, this is my target, from 6 to 15 on a slower pitch. How do I want to bat? How do I want to make the most of it? Because they have the players who are playing too many shots. So I don't mind them playing shots, but you need to, on such pitches, you need to play shots which are less risky. You need to go a little flatter. You need to look for boundaries rather than sixes. So look for 4s. Try and have 8 to 9 runs in an over. If you get 8 to 9 runs in an over, you are winning that over in the middle phase.
Interesting. You know what? I'm going to bring in your conversations as part of the, your comments as part of the conversation too. On the batting order points, there's one from Ujjwal saying maybe SRH should have been flexible and pushed Aniket at 3 because Jacks was bowling. He could have gone and taken Will Jacks down. Something like that.
So that's my point, in the sense that to not allow the opposition, you have to disturb the rhythm as well, like who's bowling at the other end.
Yeah.
Don't really give too many left-handers at the top. So break it up a little bit. Maybe Aniket at 3, Nitish not having the season that he wanted, free him up at 6, and he would maybe give you better returns, and drop Ishan to 4. That doesn't really change the personnel, but it does give them a better perspective.
Yeah, and who knows, if you take Will Jacks down, Hardik Pandya is made to think, he changes things up. Maybe he brings the left-arm spinner on to bowl to the right hand, and then that becomes a matchup for the opposition. Yeah, it's a team that's pretty sharp on that. But it's surprising how they just played into MI's hands. Here are some more questions. Walking Alive says, respectfully disagree with Puji. MI would have chased 180 as well. It just didn't seem easy to score in the first innings. Dew was the biggest factor here, as well as MI's bowling is better. There are a lot of comments here about Dew and whether today's game was a disappointment because it wasn't a contest because of differing conditions. Now, Puji said the due wasn't as significant. Sanjay, you're saying due was very significant today.
I would say, see, 160 was a under par score. It wasn't enough. But the kind of, had the due was non-existent, then it would still have been a good fight if the score was 170.
I'm just trying to think the RCB game. RCB played really well, but it looked like a good batting wicket for 40 overs. So it became a nicer contest. You know, we got 440 runs that day. It looked even. I don't think today looked even.
No, my question is, what if Mumbai Indians had batted first?
Right.
Then do you think they still would have lost the game? I don't think so.
I think we've been more competitive.
It's a fair question because every single time we've seen this with SRH, where even if they've got their 160s, they're losing in the 16th over. 190 lost it in 16th over. If the opposition gets 200, they've lost it by getting 120 against KKR. Now this game again, it was one-sided. So it's a fair point when you only specifically look at SRH. The toss point, I agree, it is a bit skewed in this particular stadium where the teams bowling first have a little bit of an advantage. Yes, but then every single time SRH have gone onto the park, the sample size of 7 or 8 games tells you they've only had one-sided games. They've either lost heavily or they've managed to chase down 245, which made it seem exciting.
Okay, another account again who writes his or her handle in Mandarin. So I don't know what the handle's name is. No highway, no party for SRH. They're a flat track team. I think that's harsh. I know why they're saying it. But are they a flat track team?
Who's going?
Everyone's a flat track team, no? I mean, who's not a flat track team? The Chennai
For
boys
that
said it,
matter,
not
I
me.
mean, you don't really want to term any particular team in a particular way, because if you look at the Punjab KKR game, who would have thought 110 is not being chased down with a batting lineup of KKR which runs right up to number 9. So can't really be that harsh on SRH.
Okay, there is a little more on Kishan. Has Kishan's spin play declined in the last few years? Here the question is, why is it declined? But I am putting it out here too. Has his spin game become weaker?
I think he's little reckless at times,
Yeah.
not all the time, but that has given him success also. His approach is like, I'm going to take the bowlers on. But you also,
perfect fit for SRH.
yeah,
Seems like.
again, yeah. But the thing is, see, you need to be smart. As a batter, if I know there's aggressive brand of cricket, you want to take down the bowlers, but at the same time, you look at the situation, you look at the condition, and then if you allow yourself little more time, I'm not saying he has to play 15 balls to start playing shots. Just allow yourself 5 to 7 balls initially. Just have a look at what the bowler is trying to do. Look at the pitch. If there is little more turn, then be little more assess the conditions a bit more, and then try and execute your shots.
Okay, here's an interesting
I just
one.
want to add
Yes, please,
something
Abhi.
on this because every time we show these numbers on screen saying particular batter against pace and spin, right? And we are so convinced that Ishan has such good numbers against spin, but it's about what you did before. Ishan's always opened the batting. When you start off against pace and then you play spin, I think there is a very big difference in the IPL rather than just walking out and facing spin straight up. And I feel Ishan will always struggle if he starts off against spin.
So he's not a 3 outside the power play. He might be okay there.
I would like him to face a little bit of pace and then face spin.
I remember him playing for 3 at MI in the pandemic year. I think it was when he batted 3 and played okay.
But batted lower down as well. It
Yeah,
wasn't
yeah.
necessarily 3 all the time.
Yeah, but it's been since that he's forged a reputation as an opener.
Can't they change the batting order? Can't he open and Abhishek, who is a good player of spin, can bat at number 3?
Puji.
Not happy.
Then all these guys, Puji, will come out and say the best batter has to face the most number of balls. That argument has to come.
Their whole world changed when they moved Abhishek at the top last year when Mayank Agarwal wasn't firing.
Mayank is a great example of pace and spin, right? Like he's a terrific player of spin after he plays pace. And that's why they were...
These are the players that weren't successful at that franchise. That's why they eventually went for a different approach. They went for a different team. I'm willing to say that they went to that auction table buying people who will only play this. Now, whether it hits or misses, we'll see. And it looks like it's missing more. But they don't have a team. It's not like they have the Vadera or Rahane equivalent type players sitting on the bench. They've got the same.
Ended up going for the risk-free option of buying the first big player in that set. beat Shami, beat Ishan.
On the bowlers, I can take this to you, that the challenge for the SRH bowlers is that they always are defending under par targets. Akhlaq is saying this, that they don't give their bowlers an above par target to defend, so it's sometimes harsh to criticize their bowling because all the batters are obviously playing them with the freedom of knowing it's not a big score to chase. Is that your point on their bowling attack not being as strong? Do you think their bowling also had unfortunate, not being, they've been bowling below par scores more often than others?
I disagree with below par scores, yes. I don't know if 190 was below par or 286 was the first game they got, they won by 40. 190 played 193 the next game in 16.1 overs.
Yeah.
Then 163 plays 166 again in 16 overs.
That was the Lucknow game. Was that also where the pitch was better in the second half though?
Okay, SRH DC in Visakhapatnam, 163, 166. KKR 200, they got 200 batting first. SRH got 120.
Also, see, look there.
I've got your website on.
So, yeah, I'm not saying no.
No, I'm just giving you the numbers as an answer.
No, we have seen the stats. Their bowlers are not bowling well, but also another reason is they don't have two quality spinners. If you look at the other teams, you have, I feel their seamers are decent. They have good seamers, but that needs to be backed up on such pitches by good quality spinners, and they are lacking that.
Last year also they had only Shahbaz Ahmad, I think, Puji.
They had Markand.
But they are picking their teams for home games. The thing is, they are not considering if they have to play away from home. And all the teams are now trying to play against SRH on slower pitches. That's where the spinners are in play.
I mean, if you play out their auction strategy, they picked the big core of batters, right? And Cummins is the bowler. They spent a large chunk of their purse, 75. They went to this auction, and I know they went till about 15, 16 for Chahal. Barring that, they didn't go that high for any spinner.
Yeah.
They ended up with Zampa, who's now ruled out of the tournament, and Rahul Chahar is only bowled 1 over. I don't know what the story is over there. So they just never sort of went for a lot of spin. Indian spinners, anyway, it looks like everyone's reluctant to play them, but they don't have the options. They're playing Zishan Ansari here. So you're saying that's a big point here. Okay, what else do we have? 190 would have been below par, says we're looking at the SRH bowling. Okay, that's what you guys make of SRH's bowling. SRH has done well to stay above CSK in the points table. Well, they play each other next, or after SRH play MI, so that'll come soon. Now, you guys haven't brought this up in your comments, but I'm glad I've been reminded of it. There was an incident. Maybe SRH would think if we would have got that Rickleton wicket at that stage, caught at cover by Pat Cummins of Zishan Ansari, could the game have opened up a little more, maybe before the dew came in? But it was given a no ball because of Heinrich Klaassen.
I don't really think that because Rickleton hasn't really been that consistent. He's got 1 or 2 innings of substance, but so far we haven't really seen the best of him, and the batting didn't really.
No, I'm saying for Sunrisers' point of view, sir, Rickleton was given a reprieve there where Sunrisers thought they would have got.
But it didn't hurt SRH as well because he was out maybe after hitting 2 boundaries.
Okay, now let me go to the bigger talking point because Mark Boucher is very passionate about this. And it ended up being a lovely discussion out in the waiting room with us on whether that's a rule that needs to be looked at. Because Bouch said that that should not be a no ball. It's not interfering with the batter's form of dismissal in any way. So why are you giving it a no ball? He can understand if it's a stumping where the keeper comes and takes an advantage. There is a law to this here that until there's the law, 27.3 position of the keeper, he shall remain wholly behind the wicket at the striker's end from the moment the ball comes into play until a ball is delivered by the bowler, touches the bat or the person. Okay. Or if it doesn't touch him, then passes the wicket at the striker's end. Those are the important points.
I could say as a batter, I was distracted while playing the cut shot, seeing the glove come in front.
Yeah, he came in your line of vision.
Came line of vision.
Yeah.
Were you looking ahead or behind?
I'm always looking behind.
The peripheral vision must be superb.
But what if, okay, let's hypothetically.
I must say, because it's not a stumping, it was quite alert from the square leg umpire to even send it upstairs. Normally, you will check that only when it's a dismissal involving the keeper. So he's seen that. I think that's what they'd be thinking, come on, that's unlucky for SRH.
What if there's an extra fielder or one fielder outside the circle? Doesn't interfere in the field of play. The rules are the rules. You've got to have 4 fielders inside.
No, but
One
the
of them is
extra fielder gives you advantage, right?
What if he's caught somewhere else?
But the field is connected, isn't it?
Okay.
Yeah, in that sense that you can't have an extra field at the boundary, that is a no ball. But the keeper point here, Boucher's point is that is in no way affecting he's a keeper.
I also feel that even if you want to call it a no ball, you can't have a free hit. Because the moment you have front foot no ball, you give it a free hit, I can understand. But any other errors apart from this, whether you have an extra fielder somewhere, you give it a no ball, but to follow it up with a free hit is quite cruel for the fielding team.
Okay, I think when they said we'll give a free hit after a no ball, they forgot how many things in cricket constitute a no ball beyond just the front foot and the back foot. Mr. Bangar, I want to ask you, how many times is this perhaps even gone unnoticed? It's not even the kind of thing that, if the umpire hasn't seen it, no one's looking at that again. But I can only imagine it's the kind of infringement which, if it doesn't involve the keeper, very often it may not even be spotted. Has that ever happened in your long career?
It did happen on a couple of occasions, but overall my take on this particular point is that T20 cricket is is at a stage which is just maybe 15, 17 years old.
Right.
Now, all these rules pertaining to out, not out, mode of dismissals were enshrined at MCC probably 100, 120 years ago. And the evolution of the game can't be related to what was penned down 125 years ago. So I would say there are very specific situations which require to be attended in tune with or in sync with what's happening in T20 cricket more so.
Is that rule in particular up there in terms of tweaking it? Because I know the logic behind it, and I think it's, of all the rules that can be revised, this one is there for a good reason. You can't enter that space, infringe upon
I'm
that
going
space.
somewhere else here. Raunak has bowled a bouncer which he has left, because I remember a conversation there where he was mentioning something which he's not bringing up here, but I will not force him to bring that up.
But
No, what is it?
no, just that there were times where you may have raised the issue that isn't on the keeper's gloves
in front,
but the umpire said, "Oh, we missed it. Sorry." So that can happen.
No, that, I don't really. I'll say it for a fact, and I'm not falling into a trap. I didn't want to avoid it, but I just thought because it was a stumping dismissal, and here it wasn't a stumping dismissal. The question or the action point was RCB playing CSK, and one batter was stumped with MS's gloves slightly ahead of the stumps. And it wasn't spotted by the umpire, and Michael Goff didn't pick it up.
That's all.
So the next day, I did run into him, and I said the decision was not right, and he apologized to me that okay, I made a mistake, and I
End of story.
came to a point where I said, yes, you made a mistake, but it may have cost us 2 points.
That's the thing. So what I'm just coming back to your point. When umpire misses it, then the team is. They are getting away with that.
Yeah, we'll never know. Sir, but in that case, I understand. It was an actual mistake. There the stumps were behind Dhoni's gloves. So it was not the gloves problem.
10 minutes I'm not in the waiting lounge and you guys have been up to all of these things.
We're just having fun. Honestly, it's just one of the things that make this game so intricate. No other game has such complex and wonderful rules. What is this? Someone's trying to just inform me a few things. SKM says, Klaasen's wicket-keeping encroachment was spotted because in one of the previous instances tonight, his gloves were awfully close to the stumps during the side-on replay for a stumping check. So maybe they were already on alert. That's a good point. I might have missed it. But yeah, there we go. Now we are getting into who should be on the cricket committee on this panel over here. And
I think you should be one.
Oh, sir, that's very nice.
I'll nominate Puji.
You'll nominate me, Puji and Dada on a panel. Wow, what fun. Okay, excellent. Well, I think we haven't spent enough time just complimenting MI over here because they were very thorough. Bowling plans, as much as Sunrisers were disappointing. Sanjay, how would you rate Hardik's overall day and MI's bowling plans today?
A little bit different because only using bowled for an over. Expected that Deepak Chahar, if he's playing, he would be used more upfront, which was done. Early inclusion of Jasprit Bumrah in the attack made sense because they wanted to dismiss their prime threat in the openers. managed the resources quite well in absence of Karan Sharma. So overall,
Yeah.
I thought the captaincy, which is often the topic of discussion, but Hardik was spot on with all the changes that he made tonight.
Yeah, a good day for Will Jacks as well, who's had a quiet season, but he got 2 wickets. He's got some runs today.
I mean, it was a perfect day because there was
Well,
some
he
pressure.
did drop a catch first ball, but
Apart
other
from
than
that,
that, perfect. Yeah.
And he missed another overthrow.
Yeah, but
anyways,
that's an important box ticked, I guess. If MI are to make home advantage a thing in this run.
I thought there was some pressure building on him, and today I think he must be, after today's performance, he must be very relaxed because there have been instances where there have been questions raised whether he should be playing in that 11, whether he should be batting at number 3, whether he should be batting at number 6. But after today's performance, I think he deserves a place in the team. And I feel that he should be consistently batting at number 3.
Yeah, I mean, that's been a subject of debate because we've wondered whether Tilak should play 3 or Surya should play 3. And Jacks in the last game was.
But I think they're
pushed down.
fluid with it. That is a good thing. That's what we discussed with SRH. I
Yes.
think they're very fluid with their batting order based on the conditions and opposition. That's a good thing.
I think that's pretty much it. Even
I'd
though
love to add one more point.
Please,
Since
Mr. Mukund.
All 3 batters here, looking at the points table now, it's a good time to say this. Bottom ranked 4 teams. All 4 teams are the ones that spent the most amount of money before the auction retaining players. 75 crore retention plus the uncapped. Hyderabad also same. Rajasthan same. Mumbai same. Look at the top 4 right now. They had a lot of money going into the auction. So is it a case of people? It's a nice question to put up.
very nice. Very nice.
I still feel it's early days. If you look
That's
at that
why I mentioned it
constant-
today. I had an opportunity, I took it.
I still feel if you look at the number of matches and where the difference is, there's not a huge difference. So at the end of the league phase, things can change. I still feel it's still early days to pass
So
on
it's
the cup.
half the tournament and
Yeah.
it's getting close. I mean, it's 2 wins effectively. That will take Mumbai from 7th to top and 2 losses, which is foreseeable. So it's not a lot, but it's getting tougher and tougher. Right, well done to the Mumbai Indians. They've got the job done. Sunrisers will now take them back to Hyderabad after they play CSK. And I can't wait to see what surface they get when they go to the Rajiv Gandhi Stadium next week. MI have CSK coming up, as you all know, on Sunday. We can't wait to see what surface we see the Wankhede that day. Any guesses, Mr. Mukund, if you were in the eye of in the ear of the curator over there?
Give a flat surface.
Flat surface for just the right
He's,
game.
he's saying it very softly so that CSK doesn't listen.
Yeah. No, not really. I was just looking at the points table that 1 over cost CSK 9th spot. Minus 1.217, minus 1.276. 1 over, maybe CSK would have gone 9, Sanjay Bangar. Small wins.
Small wins, small wins. Okay. Time for our rapid fire review. Gentlemen, you all know how the drill works. Quick fire review of tonight's game. Let me start with you, Abhinav Mukund. What did Will Jacks do to outbowl the 3 full-time spinners on the night? What did he do right?
It was more a forced thing. Karan Sharma was injured and 2 left-handers batting. It just made sense. Bowled 1 good over, gave him another, picked up a couple of wickets. So it was not planned. It was just instinctive captaincy from Hardik Pandya.
Okay, Puji, good bowling or limited skills on these challenging surfaces or on a tricky surface, what explains the Hyderabad innings with the bat?
I think their game plan with the bat, it wasn't ideal. They either they are defending too much or they are going all out. So you need to find a middle ground, which they haven't been able to do.
Sanjay Bangar, did the surface get easier to bat or were Mumbai just a far better bowling attack or did you decide this game?
Surface did get better and the dew factor played a massive part because I believe that if the surface was drier, things could have been a little bit tougher for MI.
Okay. Puji, back to you. How impressed are you by Mumbai's tactics and Hardik Pandya's captaincy once they lost Karan Sharma to injury?
They were spot on. I don't see any errors apart from I feel that Hardik can bowl in the death overs and Deepak should bowl in within first 15 overs. But apart from that they were spot on.
Okay, I think you can all just take a quick comment on this. If indeed MI chose this surface for this opposition, was this a great case to show how you can optimize an advantage as a home team?
100%, I agree. This is not football where you don't have, there's so many variables like the pitch. I feel the home team should have home advantage. And I think if this was the case, then brilliant.
Yeah, I think most of the teams are doing that. We have seen when Parthiv was giving his interview during one of the games.
They are definitely doing that.
Yeah.
The others, I think, are trying to do it. But yeah, carry on, Puji.
But I genuinely feel that you should have a home advantage, and it is showing in the result as well.
I'm sure Mr. Bangar was asking for pitches he wanted at the Chinnaswamy and then at Mohali.
You have to maintain good cordial relations with the management as well as the administration.
So it's the franchisee's fault if they are not getting.
Okay, and finally, now all three of you can take a dash at this as well. Just 2 wins in 7 for last year's runners-up. Is anyone willing to say that the playoffs are out of reach for the Sunrisers Hyderabad, effectively?
Yes.
Yeah, they're not going to make the top 4.
I do agree that they won't make it.
They won't make it, Mr. Bangar.
Even I don't think so.
Oh my. Okay then. Well, RCB last year, they need to invoke those gods and try and get on some dream run and hope for other things to go their way. We'll see how it goes. Mr. Bangar, thank you very much. Yes, all the gods they can invoke at this point. Cheteshwar Pujara, Abhinav Mukund, always good to have your company. And we look forward to your company tomorrow. Punjab Kings, fresh from that extraordinary win defending that record low total against KKR, will now take on RCB at their home ground. And you can see my expressions concerned because they're winning away and they're not winning at home. We'll see if that changes. Built up just before the toss on Maruti Suzuki Arena presents ESPN Cricket for Timeout. See you tomorrow. Good night.
How do I do it all? The Brezza gives me the power.